beautiful souls. My name is Anu Shi Asta, and I am the host of Heaven on Earth, which is a podcast that goes weekly. You can find it on iTunes or my website, anushiasta.com. And today's episode is going to be amazing. My special guest is Ascension teacher and Atlantean high priest Tim Wilde, who has co-authored books with Diana Cooper and has a beautiful, powerful Atlantean presence. And as you're going to be listening to this interview, you're going to experience an activation or an attunement. We will be going over the 12 chakras and really talk about what it means to live in the fifth dimensional reality and how to get there. So, and we touched the topic of ancient Egypt as well. So it's going to be really, really a powerful hour for you. I'm so grateful that you're here. And so let's get started. Well, welcome to Heaven on Earth, Tim. It's amazing to have you on the show.
Hi, it's lovely to see you and be on the show. Hello to everybody watching as well.
Yeah, and we just met in Finland. We were invited as guests to I Am Expo or Minä olen Expo, and it was so fantastic to get to meet you and to plan this interview, because your energy is so incredibly in tune with Atlantis, and of course your books are amazing. You've written books with Diana Cooper, and you're constantly creating creating more.
I know it's like I go through patches of I'm done creating for a couple of weeks, and then it all comes rolling back in again. So it all kind of depends on what I think. I mean, you'll know this one well yourself, as we have to be tuned into the kind of the planetary weather, so to speak, the Ascension weather. And sometimes it's rolling in very, very quickly, like it has been for the whole of 2017, and other periods are kind of allocated for heavy clearing, which is usually sort of, they're the challenging times where you're wondering, like, right, okay, this is really quite hard work, and everybody else is kind of wrapped in their ascension suits, trying to avoid all the frequencies and everything. It's good fun, isn't it? It was absolutely lovely to meet you and meet Roland as well. It's we went out for the meal in the evening, and it's just we just clicked. So it's good to be here. Thank you.
Yeah, amazing. I have so many questions. I just want to go into this beautiful Atlantis Ascension realm, dimension with you in just a moment. But can we talk about your journey a little bit and how you got here? Because I think that's an interesting thing for people to hear.
Yeah.
So how did you've written books with Diana, so how did it all happen?
Right. We can kind of cast right the way back to 1972 when I was born. When I was born sensitive, and a lot of people will be able to kind of relate to this as well. When you as a child, you can sense and feel and see things around you that other people just don't seem to be tuned into. My childhood was actually fairly challenging. I don't have a huge amount of wonderful memories. It was all seemed to be kind of surviving the denser vibrations. Luckily, my parents were they were both meditators. They were into the transcendental meditation scene, so they had a base level kind of spiritual knowledge, and so they weren't completely shutting me down. They weren't saying, "Oh, nonsense, you're not seeing this, you're not seeing that." They just thought I was slightly odd. I used to kind of wander around filling my pockets full of crystals. Look what I found. I had pockets full of stones and stuff, and they're just, oh, bless it, and let them get on with it, sort of thing. Right. And by my teens, I'd kind of thrown myself into sport. I was a racing cyclist for a long time, and that grounded me. That kind of we have to do something with our sensitivities when we're like that. It's kind of you survive the best way that you can. And I had a life-changing accident when I was 18 years old. I rode into a tractor at 35 mile an hour, died for 20 minutes because it was a serious accident. during that 20 minutes, I had that typical light at the end of the tunnel experience. And when I came back, everything was completely different. It was, I became vegetarian overnight. I started seeking spiritual information, like reading people's books. All of the books that had been on my parents' shelves all throughout my childhood, I started picking them up and reading them, like the Carlos Castaneda books and the ones that were written by Maharishi Yogi, and just started filling my mind with reminders of who I was and where I'd come from. And a bit later on, I found Diana Cooper's book, The Little Light on Angels. And I was reading it, and the light bulbs were just going on. Like, oh wow, it's just explaining everything, absolutely everything that I'd been experiencing as a child, all the dreams, all the perceptions, the actual angelic visits that I had on quite a few occasions. And I was just astonished by this amazing woman who had just stood up out of nowhere in this. And it was still back then, you have to agree, it was a taboo subject to a degree, wasn't it? People didn't openly stand on stage and talk about angels and dragons and unicorns and Ascension.
Right.
I just thought she was the bee's knees. I thought, wow, that takes, he's got this expression in England, you like, that takes balls, and so she did it. And as well as her books, I was drawn very much to Joshua David Stone's books, which were very much kind of the hardcore Ascension, downloading the light of 1,000 suns into your aura and frying yourself for 3 weeks, and just it was just wonderful. I was having a wonderful time. Now, in 2002, I met Diana at a book signing. It was in my local town in Bournemouth on the south coast of England, and I waited in line for her. I was sort of like, just everybody else got their book to sign. I lurked at the back and I waited. And we got talking, and it turned out that she only lived 2 miles down the road from me, and she needed a gardener. And at the time, I was running a gardening business because it was a job that I loved doing for many, many years. It kept me grounded. I used to get a lot of ideas and perceptions coming when I was doing it. So I was around there the next day doing a garden, and there's this incredible scenario where the first job that she asked me to do, and I told this story at the Mean Roland Expo, in slightly staggered way, because obviously everything was being translated. But the first job she asked me to do was go down to the end of her garden and cut all these hawthorns in. They'd take 6 foot out of the top of them with my chainsaw. So I got all my gear on and I went down to the end of the garden. And I was like, started my chainsaw, and I got this really, really clear message from the trees: you cannot cut us. And it was absolutely, it was clear as day. It's like, okay, all right, what am I going to do now? So I turned the chainsaw off and I went, it was quite a moment, because I had to go and tell Diana that I couldn't do this job, but trees were talking to me. So I told her off, and she was amazing. She just went, fantastic, you talk to trees, let's go and talk to them, let's find out what's going on. And it turned out they were a protected barrier around her property, and the hawthorn trees are still there to this day. Obviously they're a lot lankier than they used to be back in 2003, 2003, and we hit it off, we became friends. So over the years I was working with her, we were sharing kind of, she used to work in the garden with me and we used to talk. It was lovely. But in 2008, I went through a major life change, and I wound up living back at my mother's with all of my clothes in bin liners, like you do with these life changes occur. And one morning I was sat meditating in my bedroom, and I was calling on Archangel Michael a lot of the time. He's been my friend for many, many lifetimes, and he appeared to me. Now, I'm clairsentient, I don't see an awful lot, I tend to feel very clearly, but this was in my third eye, absolutely bright as you like. And he was holding a bright blue ball in his hand, a ball of blue energy, and he said, "This is yours." I said, "Well, how can this possibly be mine? It's light from your fields, isn't it?" He said, "No, this is the blue star seal of Atlantis, and it belongs to you, because you were a high priest in Atlantean times." This was very clear. He was very precise, he was very clear about it. And he said, "It's called the blue star seal of Atlantis, and I'm going to activate, I'm going to show you what to do with it." And he put it in my soul star chakra above the top of my head. And I watched as all this blue light cascaded around me, and met at the six-pointed star of Atlantis at my feet. And he said, that is your personal protection now. You use this in Atlantis to keep your fields and your bodies high in vibration, and everything else around you was starting to drop. So he said, now you don't have to call on me 500 times a day. You can go off and do whatever you do. You can still have your own little biosphere of like happy reality, and you can fill it with all your own energies, and it was great. So I was incredibly excited about this wonderful new toy, and I went to see Diana immediately and said, look, can you verify this for me? Am I going completely bonkers? Mm-hmm. And she said, no, I can see and feel this very, very clearly in your fields. And it was at that point she started receiving a lot of information. Archangel Metatron started buzzing in her ear on a regular basis whenever we were talking about Atlantis, and giving her information about me. And so the story went on that I was a high priest in Atlantis, and so was Diana. She was a high priestess, and we'd worked together previously, and obviously in this lifetime we'd come back together because we had work to do. So that was the start of it, and it was at this point that I started remembering aspects of my previous incarnation, and also started to receive the tools back. Now, the Blue Star Seal was the first of quite a few memories that I had returning, because you can testify to this, that we receive triggers, don't we? We receive things that you think that's Absolutely. Amazing at the time, and then a little bit further on down, the memories start rolling and we start remembering things, and the timelines are so thin now that we can kind of put ourselves back in those scenarios, back in that kind of that ancient and beautiful time. At the drop of a hat, we can do it very, very easily if that's our point of focus. Now, a little bit further on down the line, we decided to write a book together, which is the Archangel Guide to Ascension, because after the cosmic moment, the 2012 date, the energy changed so drastically, and it's the start of the Ascension process. Like, yay, we're 5 years in now, aren't we? You know, we've done a lot of work in 5 years.
Yeah. And it really was a major shift. This happened so much awakening since then in people.
It was amazing in awakening, but it certainly didn't happen in the way that I expected it to. I mean, everybody was thinking, oh, we're going to wake up in the 5th dimension on the 22nd. It wasn't like that, was it? It was the start of a lot of very, very hard work.
Yes.
So, but in that period of time is when I've managed to kind of set a concrete base, really, about, you know, the Atlantean era. And like we were saying the other night, I don't want to remember the parts that happened at the end. I want to remember the good parts, the golden period, and the periods of time that we actually set our personal ascension blueprints for the now moment, because we're all running on an ascension blueprint that we've effectively put in storage for 10,000 years. And this is now what we're coming at. But, you know, for the point of people listening, it's not necessary for you to remember these lifetimes. I mean, I consider it a privilege for me to do so, but it happened specifically because there's things that I needed to remember, there's stuff that I had to retrieve. But not everybody has these memories, and sometimes that can be quite frustrating, because, like, you know, so like, well, I wish I could see or feel what you see or feel. And I said, well, listen, maybe it's not necessary. Maybe you don't need to go back there, because it can be quite time-consuming, quite distracting on the other side of it. You know, we're living here and now, aren't we? And sort of, I spent quite a lot of time dipping back into that timeline, and even had a few days where I was struggling to set my reality. Do you see where I'm coming from now? You must have experienced it yourself if you've got the memories, because it becomes very powerful, doesn't it? So
yeah, it's just incredible to listen to your entire life story, because everything about it sounds Atlantean. Everything about it.
Yeah.
And the fact that you were a gardener, I feel anytime I go back to my Atlantean memories, the garden is so important, and the flowers talk to you, the trees talk to you. So it sounds very Lemurian, but I feel like it's very, very Atlantean. we were so connected to the garden, and I think gardening was one of the privileged things to do in Atlantis. So you must have, you know, tended some beautiful garden while you're, you know, like it just feels, it just triggers so many visions and memories in me when I hear you talk about it.
Do you remember what it used to look like? Because when I've written visualizations and stuff, I've actually walked myself through several kind of scenarios, and you're absolutely right. The gardens were immaculate to the point, but we used them as energy centers. The garden would invariably have water running through it, and the whole of, I mean, when we had the communities and the villages and these beautiful areas set up that were designated for people to live in, they would all be completely harmonious with the environment around them, and everything was, it was built for the elementals to enjoy themselves, the children to enjoy themselves, the high priest and the priestesses and the initiates, and everybody could basically enjoy this environment, and it was self-sustaining as well. We used it to feed ourselves, and it was a system that worked very, very nicely. It was absolutely, you know, and also the climate. I can remember kind of always wanting to kind of live in a hotter area when I was a child, when I was younger, and particularly kind of the Portuguese and that kind of that northern Mediterranean climate. And that's what we used to experience. That's what it was like there. So that's what it was like where I chose to live on the Atlantean continent for the lifetime I remember. So it all just seems very clear. I love it.
Yeah, I'm getting like bits and pieces of visions. I know as the time goes and you and I talk more, and there's just so many triggers coming up. But I want to share one other thing. When you were talking about the blue seal, the Atlantean blue seal that from Archangel Michael, and the fact that overnight you became vegetarian. Those are my story too. Not the same way, but the how I became vegetarian was I was in the pyramid in Egypt. I went there. I thought I experienced death because I didn't even know I had claustrophobia. So I went inside. I was crawling in, and I felt like I'm drowning. Now I'm going to drown. I was like, okay, I'm going to die. I'm going to drown. Archangel Michael, protect me. And then when I asked Michael to protect me from my own fear, all of a sudden I got this incredible peace and calm like I've never experienced before. It's like I died and I went to heaven, and nothing, even if this pyramid would collapse on me, I'd be fine. That's how I felt. And then I went inside there, inside the chamber, and there was a golden pyramid that was placed over my soul star, or actually I felt like it's in the stellar gateway in the star chakra, and it was spinning, and I don't know if that's the gold, if that's one of those, or if that's just an activation of that chakra, but that was a trigger point. And as I started coming back from the pyramid, you know, you crawling through the tunnel, it's dark, and you see the light, it's like rebirth. And I came when I was completely. And I became vegetarian, and who knows what else, and my third eye just blasted open. I had like it's like, whoa, okay, what is this world? This is a different world. And I couldn't talk for at least 30 minutes, or I can't remember, but I just couldn't. I had nothing to say. I was just
just observing. That's all you can do when it's like that, isn't it? That sounds incredible. I mean, it reminds me of the way that we used to do the initiations in ancient Chem. This is a funnier memory of mine, because I also remember the ancient Egypt side of it, which was immediately after the fall of Atlantis. I mean, I liked aspects of it because we immediately tried to recreate Atlantis when we landed in Egypt, and we did a good job for a while. But it's funny because I've reconnected with a few people that have. Do you remember the sarcophagus initiations, where people used to deliberately go into a sarcophagus and face their deepest fears, and then come out again with having passed something very, very challenging. Well, we used to call it the laughing box, because basically people used to climb in that box, and we just did it because that was kind of my sense of humour, sort of thing. It was like, okay, well, give it like, how many minutes do you think it is before this person starts screaming? Because invariably it'd be one of the most frightening experiences that you could possibly go through, but also one of the most spiritually, the spiritual advancement that you would have in that period of time. But people actually remember me from that era conducting those initiations, actually being the one who was outside the sarcophagus. And one woman got really quite cross with me because she's like, I can't believe I'm still angry with you after all these lifetimes.
That could be the reason I activated my claustrophobia entering the pyramid. I didn't even know I had it. So that must have been...
The tunnel and the sarcophagus, and particularly it also pertains to the entrance to the halls of Amenti as well, because you've got to kind of go down this very, very kind of claustrophobic, narrow tunnel before you reach your own personal kind of doorway. And they're all tied in with each other. We've all used kind of different ways to kind of access this knowledge and these particular forms of energies and gateways and things. And it's just... I love the way you described it, because it is literally like coming up for air, isn't it? It's like, oh my God, the light sort of thing. And you come out the other side of it and nothing's the same ever again. Yeah. It's quite incredible.
That was really incredible. And Egypt is, like you said, after Atlantis fell, we immediately went to Egypt and start rebuilding, recreating but simply the vibration wasn't there, because we had to wait another 12,000 years, and here we are. This is what we're creating. This is why we're here. And I have a vivid memory of that time, specifically in Egypt, where we're still there. We kind of, the memory is fading, or the energy is fading, but we're still knowing, okay, we have to remember this. We have to do this. And we're this I think 12 people or 12 couples, maybe 12, I don't know, 12 something in that room. And we are visualizing this new Earth, this new Atlantis that's going to happen, which is what we're creating right now. And it felt like it was all of us in the room, sole purpose throughout from this 12,000 years. It's been our sole purpose to come to this place and to keep the memory of Atlantis alive. And
absolutely,
maybe have you explored your past life? Because that's this past life between. Have you done this kind of work, or have you just? How was it for you?
I have been back. Sorry, immediate bit of throat clearance talking about it. Yeah, I've been back quite a few times. I've found the last 10,000 years particularly kind of hard, obviously, because we've been living in such. It's literally been an experience of what it's like to live at the bottom of the barrel energetically since the fall. Yeah. But on several occasions, I've had incarnations. I was in Glastonbury when Jesus visited there 2,000 years ago to set up the ley system that we're activating now. And I can remember having a meeting with him on the shores of Avalon, and Merlin as well. And there was 2 ladies there too. And we all had to climb up the Tor in a snowstorm. And it was laughable, because we're trying to get up the Tor in a snowstorm. And the wind's like 50, 60 miles an hour. We just wound up rolling down the side laughing, because we just couldn't get up there. When eventually we got to the top, it wasn't the Tor like we remember it, like we know it now. There was a pile of rocks that were placed in symbolic order at the top, like the Druids used to do, because this was Arthurian times. And it was that point that we activated the Christ consciousness within the ley system. So I've been doing jobs like that since ancient Egypt, but
I'm getting chills. I just feel like, wow, I love you. Keep going.
it's been hard work, you know. I'm
Yeah.
really, really, really pleased that we're out the other side of it now, because it's just like, it's been very third dimensional, hasn't it?
Yeah, it really has. And there are still a lot of people that are in the third dimension, and this is why this work is so important. And I feel that too many people are stuck with the fall of Atlantis, and it's the wound. It's so deep, or they're fixated. Well, you know, some people think, well, Atlantis means mind manipulation and war and greed and taking advantage of people, genetic manipulation, all that. But that's just a very short end time. That's
what happened at the end, and unfortunately, it's ingrained into people's DNA on a guilt level.
Yeah.
Because when people start standing on the pathway like we're standing on it, the first thing they reactivate is the clearance process in order to actually achieve a higher vibration. So they've got to move through all of this, like, oh my God, I was such a terrible person at the fall of Atlantis. And it's understandable to feel like that, because some people genuinely did have a level of responsibility with that. But that's what the violet flame's for. We don't have to relive it anymore. We don't have to kind of churn through this really kind of difficult period. We all, I can remember thinking that we should have done more, but it was already pre-allocated by the Intergalactic Council that Atlantis was going to be sunk. So who are we going to be angry with about it? It was going to happen. It couldn't sustain itself any longer, because we all chose on a soul level to experience Earth at a 3D level. It was an order directly from Source, so it was going to happen. But we did our very, very best to sustain it. Even when our energy dropped after the fall, even when we were kind of like, you know, relegated to 7 chakras again, and all of the rest of it, we were still trying to maintain this level of Christ consciousness and higher frequencies, and here we are now. You know, we've done it. There's no need to kind of like hang on to this period at the end, but it is the first thing that people seem to remember, simply because it's fresh within the field. 10,000 years is not a long time on the evolutionary level. It's a little blip. Yeah. And so it feels like yesterday. It really does. Yeah. So, you know, when people reactivate its memories, it's kind of top of the pile, and it's the first thing they dip into. So it's like we were discussing the other night. I've very quickly decided that is not something that I want to be kind of working with on a regular basis. We want the stuff that we were doing when we were living in an ascended state in physical form. It's what we're doing. It's walking mastery.
Yeah. So let's talk about that. What is it like? Okay, share some of your memories, or what was it like to be in that avatar body when you were ascended, but you're still in the physical form, and you're completely in your power and in your light and your wisdom, and what is it like in that fifth dimension?
What I remember, it wasn't incredibly dissimilar to what we're experiencing now. We've got almost rose-coloured spectacles of what we should be experiencing at the moment. I personally believe that we are so much further along our pathways than people think that we are. And I remember it being good fun. But also we had a lot of responsibility, because we've got this continent to sustain at a fifth dimensional frequency, and everybody to organise it. And we had incredible technology. We had incredible connection to crystals, and everything was just, it was so pure. It's the purity that is the only thing that's still really kind of missing from the equation for me. Is the purity, the fact that you could go out, you could breathe this clean air, everybody was happy. You know, we all worked together harmoniously. The children are happy, the animals were happy, and we had an incredible way with crystals. I mean, I remember the healing side of it very, very, very clearly. And the communication with the crystal skulls. Crystal skulls was the first thing that kind of drew me back in. And immediately the connection to the 12 crystal, the 13 crystal skulls and the reactivation. And I just remember physical form being very, very light, very adaptable.
Yeah.
You know, we chose to have physical bodies, but we could also choose to have non-physical bodies because we had that much control over our biosphere of our reality.
Yeah.
And very high priest like Vuzlu used to kind of rock up whenever he felt like it, because he's coming in at a much higher dimensional state, and he'd only take physical form when he needed to. So if there was something that needed to be done, or he needed to confer something in physical, then he would take a body and he would stay for a little while. Then he'd go back off on his kind of universal, on his gallivanting, doing his very, very high frequency work. So he would dip in and out of Atlantis. But I just remember it almost as if it is like it is now. Does that sound strange?
No, it doesn't at all, because I feel, personally, I feel that every now and then, well, actually quite frequently, even on a daily basis, I get to that Atlantean state of being, and I experience it, and because to me it's that feeling of fulfillment or gratitude, or just that joy. It's that joy of life, but no matter what's happening, if you have dishes to do or whatever, you just feel like in the joy. And that is, I feel like what is, it's not like a super natural state of being in, although we talk about levitation, those all come naturally with the higher vibration. But yeah, I feel Atlantis, I feel like I've merged a lot with my Atlantean self over the past few years, and I'm not there all the time. I fall, but I think that's a part of also life on Earth. I don't know if in Atlantis were we constantly all the time 100% enjoy, or did we were human beings. We had physical body, and as long as we do have that I would think that there's these Earth challenges that kind of pull us down, but it's okay as long as the state of being we choose on a daily basis is
the higher aspect.
Yeah.
No, I thoroughly agree with you. Just because we were in Atlantis doesn't mean that we didn't have to do the washing up. You know, and you know, like life went on. We were living physical lives, and we had exactly the same challenges that we have now. Mm-hmm. If anything, it was more challenging to sustain the vibration that we held in Atlantis than it is now, because the whole point of the experiment in the first place was to sustain physical life in a 3D environment, but at a fifth dimensional frequency.
Yeah.
What we've got now is a very much we're in easy street at the moment, because we've got all these wonderful vibrations supporting our ascension process. Back then, we had to really, really work for it. So it was actually quite hard work doing that, because we sustained it for 1,500 years. We had 1,500 years in this golden era. Now, we got it off to a fine art, and we did it very, very well, but it was still, we had to work for it.
Yeah.
You know, it was something that didn't come just completely. It wasn't dropped in our laps. We did the graft. So
yeah, that's why we had healing temples, and we work with crystals. We didn't take it for granted, and so we shouldn't in today's world. So sometimes we feel like, well, it's so hard. The Atlanteans did it, but we can't because we're living in this dense world. But we had to work then equally, and it's all about commitment. Do we want to feel joy? Do we want to feel ascended and happy? It's a choice. And then if we choose it, it's the same like, do I want to be an author? If I do, I will write. It just doesn't write itself. Yeah. So we got to do the work. So what would your advice be, how to do the work? What's the how can we ascend and raise our frequency, what would you recommend starting with?
Over the last 5 years, practically for the last since 2002, my way of getting through this ascension process very rapidly and working very efficiently with myself has been to work with the 12 chakra system. Mm-hmm. Now, as far as I'm concerned, although the planet is going through the ascension process, we as individuals are, before we ascend as a whole, we have to individually go through our own processes. Now, I've worked logically, methodically and mechanically with myself on this. And the 12 chakra system, I've found is the fastest way to get your energy personally in a state where you are receptive to all of the 5th dimensional, 6th, 7th, 8th and 9th energies around you, because automatically you start working with yourself on a higher level like this. Mm-hmm. You put yourself in tune with what is available that is running at a much higher frequency. Now, and this is something which I've personally I've tuned into and written about, and we put it in the first book, The Archangel Guide to Ascension. Mm-hmm. Nobody on this planet has got 7 chakras anymore. Nobody, not even the people that are still kind of rolling around in 3D, because it's impossible to be in existence on planet Earth in the 4th dimension and not have these energetic upgrades occurring. What's different?
It's all about being aware.
It's awareness, exactly right. It's whether you're aware of it or not, and awareness is powerful stuff. So if you're unaware of it and you just think everything is just rolling on as normal, then you're not going to have identified with it, and that point of focus will not have activated it. But it's a bit like, if for me personally, with raising my vibration and tuning into this stuff as fast as possible, it's a little bit like working with your own car. If you know what's going on underneath the bonnet of your own car, you can save yourself a lot of money at the garage. That is why I've worked with the chakras, because it's taught me an incredible amount about myself. And not a lot of people focus wholeheartedly on getting to know what is going on within you on a personal level, physical, mental, emotional, spiritual, what correlates to it. Mm-hmm. And it's turned me into a little bit of a kind of like almost like the mechanic of the process. So if someone says I've got such and such wrong with me, or I go, well, that pertains to that chakra and that's happening because this, that and the other. And you can break the whole process down very, very easily, because obviously whatever happens within us individually affects the biosphere of our reality, and then that affects everybody else. Yeah. So we start off within ourselves working outwards, and it's all heart. We start off opening the heart center. What is more powerful than opening the heart center? Once you've got an open heart, you can just about do whatever you need to do with this energy, because it affects everything on a fundamental level. And that's how I've done it anyway. It's worked for me.
Beautiful. Can we quickly go over the 12 chakras?
Absolutely. I'd be very, very happy to. Right. Forget the primary chakras. I've been going on about this for years. Everybody kind of gets bored of me going chakras all the time. But here they are. Right?
Yes.
A metre above the top of your head, you have got your stellar gateway. Can you see me? Sort of.
Yes.
Tips of my fingers. If you're reaching above to the tips of your fingers, that's where your stellar gateway is. Mm-hmm. That is bright, radiant gold, and that tunes into all of the galactic energies. It's linked to the great central sun. It's linked to the planet or the star of your origins, and that is where the huge, vast inflows of light and source energy now start to reach us. That's it's quite a major one. And when it's activated, when it's operational, and it's always tuned into Archangel Metatron's energy as well, it becomes like a chalice. It opens like a chalice and receives all of the energy in. So I love that chakra. I'm very keyed into the stellar gateway, because it's great fun to work with as well.
It's the Stargate to different galaxies. I love Trini.
It's just. I mean, mine particularly is linked into the great central sun, because I love the sun energies. That's where I'm from originally. So, your stellar gateway, your personal stellar gateway, you in particular, it will be linked directly into the star or planet of your origin, where your soul began from. So that's kind of your primary inflow source at this level. This is where you're receiving all your goodies from, so to speak. And then if you move
I'm getting
down
a Pleiadian feeling when you talk that. I'm getting a Pleiadian. The Pleiades. Yeah.
The Pleiades. That resonates actually, definitely.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And I was trying to think. Yeah, if you move down from your stellar gateway, it's like the tip of the pyramid, then you've got about 6 inches above the top of your head. You've got your soul star, which I see it as magenta and blue, like a mixture of the two of them. And the soul star is incredible because that is. I mean, I'm going to cut to the chase here. It's your gateway to the halls of Amenti. Now, the halls of Amenti are this vast galactic library. It's where you've kept all of your past life information and wonderful vibrational secrets, and it's your spiritual heritage at the end of the day, and it's all accessed through the soul star. You access it and you bring it through. That's how we're connecting with Atlantis at this moment, via the soul star, because it goes back down a beautiful golden corridor. And if you look down it, there's all these doorways that lead to your different incarnations. It's a fabulous place. And usually the doorway that's glowing nice and brightly is the one that I'm drawn to. It's glowing brightly, I'm going to go in there, sort of thing. There's always something amazing in there. So that's that's worth checking out, because that's how we really access this higher frequencies and this past life stuff. And if you move down, sorry.
Oh, actually, I didn't say anything, but I was gonna say so. So you're telling me. Yeah. I just, as you're talking, I see a vision of you in that, like a garden. Like there's a temple behind you, and then there's a beautiful garden, and you have like a huge crystal ball in your hand.
Oh wow!
And I don't know what you're doing with it, but that was the vision. I'm like, whoa! That when you were talking about wow. And I feel like you were wearing something white, but it wasn't like white, but it was white with different color, like different collar or belt or... Yeah.
No, I used to favour 2 colours in Atlantis. It'd either be white and gold, or it'd be the same colour as you're wearing. I used to wear robes that were exactly that blue, because that's my colour. That's the one I feel most comfortable in. It's Yeah, that's sprung a memory. The temple directly behind me with the waterfall, and oh wow!
Chills! Oh my gosh! Why do I get chills? I don't know, but it's like good chills. Like whoa, that's a validation.
It's usually validation. It's usually your energy fields kind of go ping. Yeah, that's right, sort of thing. Wonderful.
Okay, soul star.
Then you got the soul star, and then you're moving below the soul star. You got your causal chakra, which is. It used to be offset behind the back of our heads, but it's now lined up directly, so it's in a line. Now the causal looks like the moon. It's bright white, and it's linked into the divine feminine aspects of the moon. Everything that we're receiving on a divine feminine level, all of this wonderful energy that comes in. It counteracts the very, very very masculine energy of the sun that comes in, and provides us with this wonderful balance, this divine feminine energy that we need. That all comes in through the causal chakra, and it's also a portal for unicorns to come through. So that they like when the causal is active, I've been working with people's causal chakras, and I've seen the unicorns come through at 45 degrees and literally just bang, all this light explodes through, and it's wonderful. It's amazing.
One question. I'm sorry, I'm just like I'm in the flow here. So this question just came to me about the unicorns. And first of all, it perfectly makes sense. Now it just makes a lot of sense that the causal is right here, and because we're aligning everything. And the unicorn kingdom, in the beginning of last year, 2016. I had a really powerful unicorn moment when it was probably like New Year's Eve or the first day, something just hit. And there was a being, an ascended being from the unicorn kingdom that was not looking like a unicorn, but she or he looked like a unicorn, but didn't have like, it was just a being, and just said, well, we're from the unicorn kingdom. So I don't know. So I guess there are more beings than just the unicorn horse. Like
they all belong to the elemental kingdom, and the unicorn energy. I mean, if we perceive them as
very
horses,
rainbowish. It was like
I mean, we're only just tapping into what they have available, because we haven't been able to perceive at that level. They're vast. Their energy is absolutely colossal, and that is the best way to actually start collecting with them, is go through via the causal chakra. That's how they connect with us.
Wow. That's beautiful information.
You feel this beautiful light, particularly at full moons. People that are very keyed into the lunar activities, such as, you know, all of them have been incredible, haven't they?
Yeah.
That's all via the causal. It's one
so full moon, connect with causal.
Yeah. Bring the unicorns through. I mean, like, you know,
I love that.
You won't forget that.
I love that. I'm going to do that for sure.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, you're working with that energy level anyway. That light, that pure white unicorn energy, and it's just they're just amazing. Yeah. So some of the ways I've seen it, they literally just come bombing through. Like you see them coming through at 45 degrees. You know, like when I'm working with it. So. That's a causal. That's great fun to work with, and very life-changingly high frequency. Then you move to the crown. Now the crown is where it's always been. But it's gold now. Now it takes a slightly different role at when we're activating at fifth dimensional frequency, because it's almost like the inflow of knowledge and light is handed over to the stellar gateway. But the crown is obviously the crown of your will. It becomes your wisdom and knowledge. The crown of your wisdom and knowledge, and it turns its attention inwards and starts bringing through all of our source knowledge, our personal knowledge for our ascension process. It's so if you look at it from the point of view that, you know, on the mastery, the pathway to mastery, we have all of this wonderful wisdom that needs unlocking within our full body system. That starts occurring with the crown. When the crown activates, it almost turns its attention inwards. Do you see where I'm coming from? And so you wear the crown of wisdom. It opens, and this is what we use for the ascension pathway. That's already locked within our bodies and fields and our full body system. That's our stuff. You know, we're just remembering how to use it. Then you move to the third eye, which you described earlier beautifully. The third eye, just opening, and that's what they do. And they become this vast, clear crystal ball, which, if you think about it, with the limited vision that we've had over the last 10,000 years, what we're experiencing now is a balance of the clairsentient, the clairaudient, the clairvisual. All of that is starting to come into alignment. So the third eye we create our own reality as the manifesting chakra. So that's incredibly, and you know, over the last 3 or 4 years, people have really gone through that kind of, that almost like that third eye meltdown, where it's like, you know, the whole thing's just completely cleaned and restarted at a much higher level. That's when you really start to see what's around you on every level. Then the throat, moving to the throat. I mean, like the throat has been incredible to work with for other people as well, because particularly for divine feminine souls, because if you think for the last 10,000 years there's been a complete inability to express words without being punished for it almost. All of a sudden now people can speak. They can speak at a fifth dimensional level. They can say what they like. But the throat chakra has had to clear a lot of debris out, and you'll find it when souls start waking up initially, and they, you know, take for example, they remember Atlantis. immediately you'll get all of the throat clearance, cough, 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 and this will go on for ages.
I've been through that a lot.
Oh,
yes.
I went through it as well. Diana went through it as well. Diana and I were both presenting a workshop a couple of years ago, and we both had we called it Atlantean throat syndrome, where we just like, as soon as we start talking about it, we'd like kind of degenerate into coughing messes sort of thing. And everybody else in the room got it as well, so everybody was coughing. It's great. So, there have been allocated periods where the chakras have kind of, on a collective level, all cleared at a fifth dimensional frequency. So the throat's been great, but people project so much with the throat. All your words become so powerful at this level. So it's a powerful chakra. Then you go to the heart, and the heart is obviously it's my favourite. It's love the stuff. I love all of them, but the heart particularly, because it's the first chakra to anchor and activate at a fifth dimensional frequency, and it's so powerful. It's no longer confined to an orange-sized ball in the centre of our chest. If you look at your heart now, it expands from shoulder to shoulder. It's so powerful. The more love and light that we can receive and send out to others, the vaster this portal, this powerhouse within the centre of our chest becomes. The more we use it, the stronger it gets. It's almost like it's like a muscle. You use it and it develops. So at the level that we're working at now, most of us, our hearts are directly connected to Venus, the cosmic heart. So we're kind of fed on a light level directly into the centre of the heart chakra. And it's so important, because when we're operating from an open heart, you don't have to stand on a soapbox to kind of tell something, to wake people up anymore. You simply radiate light from the heart, and that triggers everybody. This is why we're doing our job so effectively now. We don't have to do anything. We just have to radiate light and remain in a fifth dimensional state. Yeah. And that's the most effective way of getting the job done. Mm-hmm. Ta-da! Couldn't be more simple, could it, really? But we just have to maintain that frequency on a.
That's all you have to do. Just maintain it.
Yeah, just maintain light. But it's true though, to the level of the fact that an open heart will trigger a dormant heart to the point, and once it's triggered, there's no going back. Mm-hmm. That's the start of the process. So this is an internal job. We're not changing this world from the exterior. We're doing it on an internal level. So, we're going around doing what we're doing, but we're triggering everybody else around us at the same time.
Yeah. And when we're talking, I feel like part of me is like trying to contain myself in this physical body, because I'm like about to explode and just, ascend or something. It's like that. I'm just feeling like, contain it. Like, we shouldn't contain, we should just let it open. But I'm feeling that, expansion right now as we're talking. I feel like
it's vast, isn't it? Yeah. It really is. I mean, this is,
and it really is about triggering when you're talking, and all the listeners who are, I'm being triggered by your energy right now, tremendously. I'm feeling it a lot, and I'm positive that people who are listening can tune into this and they can experience the same as we're experiencing, talking in here, and just allow that heart to open
trigger
and just
away, do it. Yeah. I thoroughly recommend that.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Yes.
The heart. I mean, if you took all the other chakras away, it's the only one you really need. Mm-hmm. The other chakras sustain physical life on this planet, but the heart really is what we go back to at the other end of it. Do you see what I mean? Because it's returning to the source of love. So
I just feel like my entire aura became the heart chakra right now as we're talking. Yeah. That's like, okay, where did the rest of the chakras go?
Well, they unify into a column of light from the heart center up and downwards. Once you've been working with the chakras for a little while, they unify from the heart up and down. The whole thing engulfs the body. What you've described is exactly what happens. So that's perfect. And then, sort of, we have to move away from the heart, but as you go further down, you've got the solar plexus. Now we're talking about the solar plexus in relation to physical sensitivities. The solar plexus is gold. It's bright gold. It's not yellow anymore. It's had its gold upgrade sort of thing, which is wonderful. And it is quite literally gathering energy for us continuously. If you imagine a bat looking for insects at night, it sends out a sonar signal, doesn't it, that kind of sweeps everything around and comes back with pictures and reports for you. Now, this is what the solar plexus has always done. Now, in the third dimension, it's looking for danger. So, you know, if you're going to come out your wooden house sort of 2,000-3,000 years ago, and you wanted to go to the next village, but there's a bear waiting in a bush somewhere for you, and it's going to jump you and eat you sort of thing, your solar plexus would be kind of singing and saying, don't go down that road, there's a bear waiting for you. That's how it's worked. It's a very kind of, you know, crude example, but I can't remember how many pulses. I was asking Archangel Metatron how many pulses per second the solar plexus sends out, and it's something ridiculous amounts of energy moving and, you know, scanning everywhere around us continuously, and coming back with reports. So this is why people are becoming so sensitive to others' energies. Now we've moved into this higher state. Yeah. And the one way to deal with it, and there's so many different sort of techniques that you can use to work with the chakras, but you actively turn the energetical dial of the solar plexus from fear to love, because it's blueprinted to pick up fear. It's been like that for 10,000 years. So even with a 5D solar plexus, it's still got its old 3D blueprint. You can actively work with it for 7 to 21 days to just retrain it to pick up a different energy. And at the end of it, you're no longer as sensitive to the environment as you used to be. You know, you don't pick up other people's fear and whatever they're releasing quite so easily. So it's always one to bear in mind. It's a good little trick. I call it the 7-day solar plexus challenge. And morning and night, you turn the dial of the solar plexus up, so it looks for love rather than fear. Yeah. And it changes your life, basically. It draws completely different experiences to you. It's wonderful. Yeah. So yeah, that's the solar plexus. And directly below the solar plexus, well, this is the one chakra that is snuck in on a physical level. All the others are transcendent. But it's the navel, which is bright orange. It looks like your own sun. Now, this was the chakra that was active in Atlantis, that operated. It's the community chakra. It's the chakra that bonded us all together on a energetical, physical, mental, emotional, and a spiritual level. Now it's active again. This is what is almost turning the planet into one giant community at the target end of what we're doing. But we're not just connected to other humans via this chakra. We're connected to the animals, the birds, the trees, the insects, the living fabric of Earth herself, and all of our star brothers and sisters. So it's a vast one to kind of, to investigate once this chakra becomes active. It's incredible. This is what is making us feel so, bonded with where we are and what we're doing. We're only just tuning into the potential of it as well. It's become a lot more powerful the more we use it. Then you've got the sacral. Now the sacral is no longer orange like it used to be. It's rose pink. I see it as rose pink. Diana sees it as rose pink as well. And this has created a lot of work for divine feminine souls over the last 4 or 5 years, because there has been so many template clearings on a collective level to get this chakra clear and get rid of all of this. I'm trying to keep the terminology positive, but if you look at it from a divine feminine perspective, it's not been a particularly cool planet to live on for the last 10,000 years as far as women are concerned. And all of the experiences were stored in the sacral chakra. That's all had to be released. So, some people have specifically been doing that on a template level, and they've had quite a tough time of it. So, and I've had the privilege of working with a few people that have really been going through it on a sacral level. but everybody's been experiencing it. So we've done most of the hard work. That one's been cracked, which is the good news. And it's once that chakra is active, fifth dimensional frequencies, relationships that you have with other people, particularly partners or family, they take a different level. It's becomes, you spiritualize relationships. You know, people that you're with, the physical side becomes less predominant, and the spiritual side becomes much more important. Obviously, we've got to sustain physical life on this planet as a species, but the emphasis becomes on a bond as opposed to the physical side, which is very much more 3D. That's what the sacral's doing, the fifth dimensional sacral. It's putting transcendent love into the ingredients that's all living here, which is good. That's what we need.
It helps also attract amazing people to talk to. I mean, it just feels incredible. It feels like from the healed sacral chakra, I've attracted you and so many other people that are high vibration, and it's that sharing. Also the navel chakra, because you said that's the community. So that brings amazing people into your
soul family. It's what's drawing soul family back together to kind of do this very high frequency, very efficient work that we're doing now as well. It's just, I mean, I'm only scratching the tip of the iceberg with it, really, because, you know, it's, I mean, I could go on about each individual one all night, because they've got their own stories and just so many different things that you can do with it. Now, another one of my favourites is the base chakra. You know, back in the good old days, it used to be bright red, but it's not anymore. It's now platinum, it's silver. And this is the seat of our soul. This is where we anchor our mighty I Am presence in. So we're doing this ascension process, and we're pulling all of this wonderful energy down through our antikarana bridge, down through our chakra column, bam, and we're anchoring it into the base. Now, I don't see a separation between our higher and our lower selves anymore. We are our higher selves, but we only start embodying that when the base is fully anchored. People who are still kind of rolling the little me thing, which a lot of us are, because it's easy to do if you're a human, thinking you're not good enough for this or whatever. You know, I've seen it 1,000 times, and I've been through it myself. You know, it's part of the human condition. It's part of our programming. But it becomes a lot easier once the base is active. We're working with the base. We've identified the problem. We've anchored this higher aspect of ourselves, and we start to embody it. That's what the base is all about. Bang, you know, here we are in master form on Earth. Let's get on with the job, sort of thing. Right, that's the way it is. So I love that chakra because it's the anchor point. And then if you move your attention down your legs to the soles of your feet, you've got your Earth Star chakra. Now, when this first activated at 5D frequency 5-6 years ago, it was kind of almost looked a little bit like a yin-yang symbol. There was the white and the dark. And to represent the sort of the Sandalphon energy, the anchoring of our energies into Gaia. Now, as it's become active, as it's started doing its job, it's become liquid silver. I see it as liquid silver, not entirely dissimilar to the base, but the thing that I love about the Earth Star chakra the most is once you've activated it, and once you've started working with it, you never have to ground again, because you are permanently anchored into the Gaia matrix. So, you know, back in the old days, when we used to have to struggle to keep ourselves in body, in form, because we're high frequency beings living on a low frequency planet, and it's hard work. When we're working with the Earth Star chakra, the Earth Star is literally, it's almost like an extension of the Gaia matrix, but within our chakra column. So we're linked into the magnetics, to the energy flows of the whole planet. And I've seen in certain, you know, in most circumstances, that when we incarnate in physical, all of our maps or our life coordinates are already pre-programmed into our Earth Star. So, for people that 10 years ago suddenly wound up at the pyramids at Giza and they got no idea why they're there, just like, it felt like booking a holiday to the pyramids, and I was at the pyramids and now I'm back home again. What was all that about? That was because their Earth star was already programmed at that particular time to take them there, because it's part of the soul mission. So it's a good one to know, because you can kind of investigate it and find out where you're going and what you're doing, sort of thing. So, and that's the 12 chakras. That's me kind of skimming over it as best as I can with the time, within the time that we've got. So.
Oh my God, thank you. That feels like we just went to an Atlantean temple and got activated.
We did a little bit of work, didn't we, at the same time?
Amazing. I feel like I definitely feel a difference after we walked.
I do as well, because we were talking about it and I'm seeing it and I'm feeling it at the same time. So that's powerful stuff.
And it's so incredible how different chakras. There was a time I was like, okay, now I'm feeling like, can I? And then when we went down, I started feeling more solid, more stronger. Okay, now I'm grounding all this light, all this heart energy, all this
powerful
soul star, stellar gateway wisdom, starting to ground it. It's such a beautiful process to.
It is, isn't it? Definitely.
Yeah, definitely something to do every day or every week or. Just
it's something
frequently.
I recommend doing it every day personally.
Yeah.
This is what's been my Ascension diet, so to speak.
Yeah.
Just simply because you can't go wrong with it. You can't. There's nothing that you can do that's.
And you always go up down, or do you go down up?
Dinah and I argue about this, or we used to squabble about which way round do you go. Now Diana's very earthy, she's grounded, she's a Virgo, she works from the ground upwards. I'm a Leo, and I like working I've got no earth in my chart whatsoever, so I like working from the heavens downwards, simply because that's the way my energy flows. So there's no right or wrong way you can start.
Could it also be a feminine body, a masculine body difference in how you process what works? So I guess everybody
very much so
could just test it out, and might not have to do with the feminine or the masculine, but maybe it's individual, but it could be even. I mean, are you coming from the sun to the moon, or from the moon to the sun?
Exactly. It's whatever feels right. There's no right or wrong way, as long as you kind of keyed into them and actually using them and working with them.
I love that. That's really, really powerful. Very, very powerful work. And I think that's exactly what everybody needs right now. It's going to help maintain that frequency and rise. If you're not there yet, then do this work. But if you are there already, feel like you're living that heaven on earth state of mind, that fifth dimensional vibration, then it's equally important to maintain it. So we can't start like slacking off like, well, I already did it. I did it once. I'm good. Because then it surprises us, and suddenly we're feeling like, why am I not feeling good anymore? So it's good to maintain. Like a garden, you got to maintain it so it flourishes and stays beautiful.
And let it go for a couple of days, and you've got more work to do. Got to crack on with it. So I mean, we've got so much more that we to talk about. You're talking about when we
just quickly
had a brief chat about doing a part 2. So
absolutely.
I'm happy whenever.
Absolutely. I'd love to do part 2 about Egypt and maybe I'm sure Atlantis will find its way into that. I mean, it's all over.
They go hand in hand with each other, don't they?
They do. But I'm really excited about that. One thing I would just, if you don't mind, you were sharing a little bit about your vision. I would love for you to share also what you saw about me in Atlantis. That just hearing you say
I saw you walking through. It was either the Temple of Love or the Temple. It was, I'm sure it was, but walking through the center of a pyramid, and you were. Basically, it's either a coronation or an initiation. You passed something, and you were taking your role as I can only describe it as queen or high priestess of whatever that was at that particular time. And there were people everywhere when I was part of the ceremony, and I could just remember it so clearly. But it was a celebration. It was a period of celebration, and I can. You were wearing white with gold, very clearly with symbols on it. This is why I wrote that meditation, because I could see it so clearly, and it was a powerful time. It was right in the middle of that 1500. It's when things were just going absolutely swimmingly. We were having a wonderful time there, and you did a lot of important work back in those times. That's what I remember, and it's just a big celebration. It just came in bang like that. So that's
yeah. When you're talking about that,
I'm sure there's more around it, sort of thing.
Yeah, so. There's so much, and you've already been incredible trigger, and it just energetically, I feel like the visions will follow more and more as I feel right now this is happening on an energy level. Even last night, I had like my chakras were on fire all night. There was like so much something happening, and I didn't see any specific dreams.
It tends to start, doesn't it?
Yeah. So there's another level of something happening right now, and
absolutely.
And thank you so much for sharing that vision. It just makes me want to it's just a validation of what I remember as well, and it just feels beautiful to hear it from you.
The thing is, once you start keying into one, then others come along as well, sort of thing. It's especially if it's validating something that you've already seen or felt. It's this is how we start the ball rolling. So
I've seen myself work in. I haven't seen the coronation, but I've seen myself doing the work and it's very much similar to the work I do right now. It's just that I'm about to get serious. It feels like I'm constantly like I've been doing a lot of groundwork and a lot of I've been doing this show for many years, and this has been my message, but I feel like it's waiting for the right time. I think people are more ready than ever for this kind of information.
Absolutely, yeah.
And
I mean,
this is about to be amazing.
2017 is the year that we really start enjoying ourselves, basically, because this is what we've come here to do. You know, you can't do a job like this and not have a bit of fun at the same time. And I love doing this. I know you love doing it too. It's great. Of course, we got to work hard as well. You know, you don't achieve what we achieve on a spiritual level without doing some serious groundwork. But that's what it's all about. So fantastic.
And for everyone listening, by the way, I'm going to link Tim's books in the show notes so you can read about them. We somehow didn't talk, but everything we talked is related. It's information that's in your books. It's energy. People got really to know who you are all about and your vibration, and then the books are just gonna when people resonate with this energy, which I'm sure who wouldn't. So they can go and read about purchase your books or read about your work. So what are your future plans? What are you doing next?
I've decided to allocate this year to kind of, I really enjoyed visiting Finland and spreading out and doing what I was doing over there, but just on an international level, really.
And you have a big fan base in Finland. I mean, the room was huge.
It was wonderful.
Yeah.
It was wonderful. I loved it. Absolutely loved it. So just more of that, please.
So how did you feel, by the way, about Finland? I know people in Finland are interested in knowing about how you felt the energy there.
I felt it was incredibly pure, like almost like you don't need to do anything more to it on a energetic. I felt very, very bonded to it as well. Like it's obviously something that I'm coming back to. So that's another trigger. That's another investigation. But it's very difficult to quantify into words. I just know that I've got to go back. So that's where I am with it at the moment. Purity. We're all looking for purity, aren't we? and I just felt it was already there, sort of thing.
And the snow helps a little. It
golden.
Looks like there's more pure when there's snow white everywhere.
Yeah, I know. Snow and ice everywhere. It's fantastic. Proper winter, isn't it? So.
It was beautiful.
Definitely.
Okay, so information, where can we find you? Your website? Do you have
I am available on www.timwild.com. That's TIMWHILD. So there's a H in my name, Tim Wild. And the two books, The Archangel Guide to Ascension and The Archangel Guide to Enlightenment, are both available all over Amazon or Hay House, direct Hay House Publishing. And connect with me on Facebook, Tim Wild Practical Ascension. My kind of personal Facebook profile kind of doesn't really see an awful lot of me, but my Facebook page is the way to get in contact with me if you want to get in contact with me. So look forward to hearing from you.
Yeah, it's wonderful. So I'll put all the links below for anyone to see. So thank you so much, Tim. It was an amazing hour. The time went by so fast.
It really did, didn't it?
Took a little bit more of your time than we thought, but we went in the flow.
Happy to.
Yeah, thank you so much. And we'll do the part 2 soon, hopefully.
Very soon. Just let me know when you're good and ready, and I'll make sure straight away. Definitely.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Thank you. Lots of love, and lots of love to everybody listening. Thank you for tuning in. It's been wonderful. All right.
Thanks.
I'll see you again soon.
Okay.
All right. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.